times I like be just on red, like, golly, how long it takes? But it actually takes a lot of time when you try to do it the right way. You know, like, the devil's in the details. Like, a lot of times, you know, this is the piece we've been waiting on for about 4 months. It's been on back order. You know, we finally get the intake manifold. This is for Will's Monte Carlo. We're converting it from carbureted to fuel injection, how the motor was designed. He has a single turbo, so you're going to be able to control the system more with the fuel injection versus the carburetor. So we had to wait on this product, but now we get it. If you remember the build with the motor, we painted the motor gloss black transmission, so we got to add a little flavor to it as well. We just can't leave it let alone. So just stay tuned to the build. You know, this is why a lot of times I say sometimes our prices might not be the cheapest, but it's the way that we go about how we do it. We're going to go the extra mile pretty much on everything we do. Body work, intake manifolds, side panels, fiberglass, whatever it is, we want to do it the right way to where we don't necessarily got to do it twice. It's an update on the Caddy. This is a shop vehicle. If you guys remember in 13, I showed this car. Mr. Tom actually painted this car. That's what started me and Mr. Tom's relationship. In turn, I ended up taking the shop over and, you know, moving it to Longwood, and now here we go, VTSV Auto. This is a 66 El Dorado, as you know. They made 2250, but of the 2250, only like 200 of them had the bucket seat center console, which is, you know, pretty much the rarest of them all, as well as the headrest. The headrest made it to only about 50 of those 200. and this was a factory headrest vehicle, so it's a nice car. I found it in Chicago. I got it shipped down and shipped it to Mr. Tom O's shop, and you know, we went at it. So the car was in decent shape. So I bought a set of 26s Forgiatos. We put them on, and the rest was history. New top, you know, but we never did any mechanical work to it for as a motor. It ran good enough at the time. So I built it on a budget at the time in 13, but nobody would know it. It was a phenomenal looking car. It was unique. It was different. It was something for the eye that they normally didn't see. So it did what it had to do. Now, I'm in the ability to kind of do it the right way, and you followed along. You've seen the metal work. You see the body work is pretty much done, ready for paint. Now we're doing what we do with everything for us, the motor work and everything prior to paint. We got to fit the motor. We do have an LT5 Connect and Cruise kit for this one as well. So that's 3 of them that's going to go down in this shop. Stay tuned. The one that went in D car, the one that's going in this one, and the one that's going in Mr. Lofton car. So, you know, 5th gen specialist, man. That's what we do here. You know, we deal with the LS. Obviously, Mr. Will got the LS in the Monte Carlo. He got the twin turbo LS in the Pontiac. So for you LS guys, we got love for you too. You know, however you want to do it. You know, but for us, this one we went over before. We put the suspension in. We went over the gearbox and the center link, the inner tie rods, the outer tie rods, the Hodgkin suspension tie rod, adjustable sleeves, you know, but everything, we went with the Moog bushings, all of the original bushings. Moog is one of the best ones, so most front end alignment shops, they're gonna wanna use the Moog bushing, so everything is all brand new Moog. We did use a polyurethane bushing on the sway bar, but beyond that, everything else was Moog bushings. But we put it in because we needed to know the placement when we put the motor in, because this has to remain stays. All of this stays, so we need to know our clearance issues once we sit the motor and transmission in. So once again, we had to put all of this stuff together, line everything up. We're going to get the motor and transmission put in, and then once we're done, we got to blow it all apart, make it all pretty, paint it, and then put it back together. But at that point, we would know that everything was fitted. If you see here, this is a billet AN fitting for the AC unit. It has 2 AC lines and then 2 heater lines. So this is the way that now, instead of the holes that went through your firewall, we'll use the AN braided lines, make it look real nice. That could be plated, whatever, painted, whatever you want to, real nice look. And then we also can route these hoses behind the fenders where it's less, you know, pipe and show, you know, for a real slick look. That's how you want to do it. A little more time, a little more work, and it always is, but the finished product, you know, is going to be unmatched. So another reason why we had to put the bumper on, being that we're going with the LT5, it does have an intercooler. It's going to use a external engine oil cooler as well. So we got to know our measurements. We got to know the areas where we can tuck things at. That's why we had to put all of this stuff together. That's why the bumper's on in the front. And we got to get all of these measurements, and then once we're done, we can send the bumper out to get chrome, just like we did with D-Car. You know, so chronological order, we just following through. Not a lot of stuff done. We so swamped with the other work, but we definitely got it going on. We got the hood lined up, everything, you know, pretty much. We found all of the pieces. You know, this is another thing about cars made in the 60s. You probably got 15 different brackets per side. That's adjustability that brings the height of this fender up. Instead of using a shim, you know, back then they had adjustment pieces that mount to the fender, and it bolts here such so. And it allows us to bring the fender down, bring it up with the adjustability, you know. So it's so many different ways that you can adjust the frame to perfect. It's a little more detailed, but you know, back then they wasn't concerned about, you know, time and thickness of metal. They was building cars like you should build them. VTSV Auto, we back at it. The only thing we like about cold weather is the fashion. Check me out. Okay, here we go, man. Mr. Lofton car, we just wanted to do some updates. I kind of like the final look of where we're at with the wheel wells. You've seen, if you follow the videos, the work that we did. the issues that we ran into. The customer necessarily didn't come in for a wheel tub, but the amount of corrosion and the best way to fix it ended up to a wheel tub situation. So you seen it last time when we was in. It wasn't as finished as it is now, so you can see everything welded up. All of the edges are grinded down. The old pieces that was there were removed, and everything was welded in. We're probably going to even go a step further and probably body work some of that and put a little nice coat of paint on it for Mr. Lofton, but that's some futuristic stuff once we get to that point. Over here on the passenger side, you'll notice that the inner wheel well we've made the provisions like the driver's side, but we're waiting on the quarter panel to come to be able to do the outer wheel well and finish everything up. Once that comes in, it's just a couple of few areas on the trunk that we're going to knock out. We noticed here when we came in, if you can, Justo, come around on this side where you can see that the lights poking through that whole line. If you see all the little sunlight, they had panel bond in there, and once we grind it out, we still see the little rust spots going down, little small lines, so we're going to weld everything up right there, and then we'll pretty much be done in the area of the floor pan. So, but also little small things like that you know, the original support bracket mount, we had to make support brackets here. They're all welded in. We got everything supported, solid, how it should be now. So I'm definitely satisfied with that work. But we're still knocking at it on Mr. Lofton's car, going a lot of work. All the work that you've seen as entail at the bottom of the car, you had to flip it over and had to do the same thing to the top of the car. So there's a lot of work that went into this car, a lot of things that was unknown, and it's still going. So stay tuned to the channel. We got the quarter panels already ordered. They should be here next week. And once they come in, we'll have a couple sets of quarters on hold, just put up just in case, because a lot of times when those quarters kind of been on back order. So we got a set coming in for a 75. We got 2 sets coming in for a 71 through 73. So you can see the floor, we actually stripped all the corrosion and everything. This is the time-consuming stuff. It's the preparation. And we also got to seek and destroy. We got to make sure there's no corrosion that we didn't miss, which is why Mr. Rich has to take the time out to grind all of this stuff down to make sure everything's straight, because we don't want to leave nothing, no stones unturned. But it's definitely coming along good. Once that quarter panel come in, we're going to go ahead and just knock everything out. You can see that the doors are mounted to the car. The doors we went over, they wasn't on the car when we received it. It was disassembled. We have to have these doors on the car just to make sure everything. Number one, this door is going to give you a little extra support being locked onto the car. And then we also got to have everything on the check gaps and all of that stuff there. So we have to have the door, everything on. We got it stripped. The door is unbelievable with all the corrosion that was on this car. The doors is actually in damn good shape. We stripped everything to the metal. It wasn't a lot of metal work that you seen. The acupuncture work that was done to the 73 that Red did, if you followed along on the video, we didn't have to do that to this car, this door, because the door was in good shape. So at the bottom of it is no corrosion. All of it's, you know, pretty much rust-free on the exterior, so we're really glad of that. Both doors are on the car now, so once we get the quarter panel on, get that rear wheel well, everything welded up, which is going to give us more support. Now we can go ahead and turn it to the side and go to town welding, top and bottom, and, you know, boxing off everything, finishing up the little weld lines on the inside. But, you know, overall, you know, I'm definitely proud of the work. Check this side out here. If you could come in, I'm gonna come through that window, but you can come through that window there, Justo. Like if you see, like this is what I mean by unfinished. Like this is still unfinished. You know, you got an inch gap. It's welded on the inside, but all of this stuff here got to be grinded down and welded. All of this old metal here has to be cut out because all of the new metal is underneath. He left it in for support until we get the new one in, so it won't collapse down like it did on TY's car that we had to fix. So, but if you look at that wheel well, look how smooth that one is. That's what you want to look like. That's the look that you're looking for. And then to even let me pat Mr. Rich on the back even more. If you look at the bottom part of it, that's the inner wheel well that we made. The top round part of the metal on top of the wheel well we made is the factory piece that has the dimple, so when the convertible top rack goes back, it doesn't bump the wheel well. So we didn't go above that. We wanted to retain the factory location where the top mount bumps into the, once this folds back, it's a provision in the wheel well for that. We left that, and that's why that red piece is on the top of that one. You'll be able to see it more once we clean this one up. So these are the seatbelt mounts that had to be fabricated. All of that was rotted out. So I definitely like how those came in. Just have to be drilled. It's actually made with a lot thicker metal, so it'll be stronger than it was before. But now once it comes in, you know, everything will be great. We put the seatbelt holes in and it'll be done. But yeah, overall, I'm definitely happy. We got some good work coming for you guys. And stay tuned, guys. We got a big announcement coming up. It's a little teaser moment. You know, I'm not going to tell you guys what it is, but Justin's working on a nice video about it. And hopefully we got a good project that you guys are really going to love. And we're also going to give our viewers, you know, you guys out there on YouTube, you're going to have an opportunity to become, you know, a part of the VTSV Auto family. But just stay tuned to the channel. I don't want to say too much. I kind of want to hit you all at once with it, you know, boom, boom, boom. So stay tuned to the channel. We got a big announcement coming. Hey, if you haven't liked, subscribe, make sure you subscribe to the channel. For all of y'all that have subscribed, we appreciate it, man. Stay tuned. Share the channel. Let them know we cooking with fire over here, man. VTSV Auto. Let's go.